just a small town girl living in a lonely world. She took the midnight train going anywhere. Just a city boy, born and raised in South Detroit. He took the midnight train going anywhere. A singer in a smoky room, smelling wine and cheap perfume. For a smile that can share the night, it goes on and on and on and on. Strangers waiting up and down the boulevard. The shadows searching in the night. Streetlights, people living just to find emotion, hiding somewhere in the night. Working hard to get my fill. Everybody wants a thrill, paying anything to roll the dice just one more time. Some will win, some will lose. Some are born to sing the blues. Oh, the movie never ends. It goes on and on and on and on. Strangers waiting up and down the boulevard. The shadows searching in the night. Streetlights and people living just to find emotion, hiding somewhere in the night. Don't stop believing. Hold on to that feeling. Streetlight people. Don't stop believing. Hold on to that feeling. Streetlight people. Don't stop believing. Hold on to that feeling. Streetlight people. Just taking a little journey here tonight. If you know it, sing it with us. Highway run into the midnight sun. Wheels go round and round when you're on my mind. Restless hearts sleep alone too. long, yeah. Your heart's been aching. You're just shy to say it. Inside we both know what's been going on. We know the game and we're gonna play it. I just wanna tell you how I'm feeling. Gotta make you understand. Never gonna give you up, let you down. Run around, desert you. Never gonna make you cry, never gonna say goodbye. Never gonna tell a lie, hurt you. Never gonna give you up, never gonna let you down. Run around and desert you. Never gonna make you cry, never gonna say goodbye. Never gonna tell a lie, hurt you. Never gonna give you up, never gonna let you down. Never gonna run around and desert you. Never gonna make you cry, never gonna say goodbye. Never gonna tell a lie, hurt you.
All right, all right. How you guys doing tonight? Welcome to 60 Degrees Marriage and Family, the Saturday night edition. And tonight will be about family dynamics. We're going to also have John Michael Hinton here in the house, well, outside the house. Did you enjoy him last night? He's our awesome magician. So I'm glad you're here. It's been beautiful, don't you think? How'd you enjoy the food today? It's incredible every night. Leading off tonight, we'll hear again from our special guest speaker, Ted Cunningham. If you missed him before, Ted is a national expert on marriage and family. I invited him over a year ago to be our guest speaker for 60 Degrees, and he's going to talk twice tonight. His first talk will be on avoiding marital drift. And then right after Ted, we'll roll into another talk from Alan Parr about avoiding marriage killers. And then we'll hear from some of our own Pathway families on family and marriage dynamics. And after that, our own Pastor Josh will come up and he'll take it from there. So a full program tonight. I hope a meaningful program. Are you glad you're here? Okay, I'm glad you're here because, you know, it's beautiful out. We finally can see the blue sky and the sun and actually breathe the air without tasting it too much, which is a real blessing for those of us here in Northern California. And on the surface, everything's beautiful and nice, and we're talking about relationships and we're talking about love. I am convinced that there is a dark force in the universe that is the devil and his demons who absolutely hate what we're doing and hate what we're talking about and want to disrupt and destroy families and marriages. And in many cases, they seem to be gaining the upper hand. But I also believe that the power of Jesus Christ is greater and the power of the child of God is greater. And God promises that if we resist the devil, what will he do? He will flee from us. That's right. So I know what we're doing tonight is fun and happy and all of that. There's a very serious core of all of this. And so I'm so glad you're here. So get comfortable. Here we go with Ted Cunningham, session number 2.
Welcome back, Pathway Church, to Session 2, Avoiding Marital Drift. So what happens if you're no longer enjoying life together. How did that happen? Well, your marriage is only doing one of two things. You're either deciding, you're choosing to enjoy life together, or you're not, and that leads you to drift. Your marriage is either deciding or drifting. And drift is just the absence of decision. It's you're no longer choosing those factors and skills. You're not being intentional with what was natural early on. And that's why I put it in this chart to kind of describe it, explain it a little bit. You know, attraction and chemistry, again, this is natural stuff early on, the factors and skills that we're talking about. But it's the connection. It's when you get on the bus together and you begin forming a relationship and choosing to date, spend time together, physical touch, all of this natural early on, quality time that we're going to be talking about in the next sessions. As you move into this, your marriage is either deciding, choosing, or you're no longer deciding and you're drifting. And here's why that's important, and especially in the season that we've just come out of, is all of us are changing. I heard one pastor say years ago, over the course of your marriage, you're going to be married to 5 to maybe 7 different people, meaning we are changing. Guess what? Bills change us. The mortgage, it changes us. Children will change you. You will not be the same spouse you were when you didn't have kids as you are once you become a parent. But if you're choosing to enjoy life together, okay, you live in discovery. Whereas if you're drifting and your spouse changes, this is when I hear in counseling, she's not the same person that I married. He's not the same person that I married. Well, of course he isn't. Of course she isn't. But if you're in drift, these changes in the different seasons and stages of life lead us to disillusionment. And if you stay in disillusionment for too long, you become disconnected, and it ultimately leads to divorce. And now here's the good news. Ecclesiastes 9:4 says, anyone who is among the living has hope. So if you are in drift and disillusioned with one another in marriage right now, you can make the decision tonight, because it starts with a decision to turn this around, turn the bus around and get back to discovery. Because as Amy and I have gone through many different seasons and stages of life together, we're headed toward the empty nest stage of life, and we can already see the changes. There's physical changes, emotional changes, relational changes, but I want to live in discovery. And what is discovery? Discovery is just curiosity and fascination. What have these changes? It's what we did during the pandemic. We would sit out on lawn chairs in our garage when we were told you can't go anywhere, and we would ask the simple question, how are you doing today? What are you feeling today? Learning and living in discovery, because ultimately we're moving toward devotion and dedication. But I want to talk for just a few moments on what to do if your marriage is in drift, and look at 5 symptoms of a marriage that is in drift, and give you some quick, practical ways to make the decision out, to get out of drift and back on the road to decision and living in curiosity and fascination with one another as you go through different seasons and stages of life. And all of us can relate to this very first symptom, which is simply this. When your marriage begins to drift, you blame your spouse. Every couple can understand this. You're going to see these symptoms build on one another. But we all can relate to this first symptom of this marriage. I would be doing a lot better. I feel we would enjoy life more if you. And we begin to point the finger. We begin to blame the spouse. And here's the ultimate level of stuckness. When you see your spouse as the source of all of your problems, you automatically set your spouse up to be the solution. When your spouse is your source and your solution, you are stuck. There's no way out. But there is a way out, and here's the first factor we want to look at. It's personal responsibility. It's firing your spouse as the source of life and the source of all of your problems. So let's do this. I know this seems crazy. You're spread out there, but let's just do this. Coming to you from a Jumbotron. Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name. I know some of you just said state your name. Do hereby resign as general manager of the universe and my spouse. Now take this finger for the very last time and point to your spouse and say the words, "You're fired." Yeah, you will no longer be my source of life. You're not going to be the source of all of the problems of our marriage. I am going to take the path of personal responsibility and no longer look to you to be the one that needs to make all the changes. I'm going to start asking the question, what do I need to do to change? If you don't deal with this first symptom, it leads us to the second symptom. When your marriage drifts, you close your heart. Gary Smalley called this unresolved anger. A closed heart. Proverbs 4:23 says, "Above all else, guard your heart, for it is the wellspring of life." Meaning every word you speak and every action you take, it flows from your heart. And if you're blaming and blaming and blaming, and this has been your pattern for years, you're probably living with a closed heart. I met a lady on the East Coast years ago. She came up to me shaking. She was so mad at the end of a session that I did called From Anger to Intimacy. She walked up to the table like this, and she said, "Pastor!" I was like, "Oh." I said, "What?" She says, "I need to say something to you." I was like, "Whoa." I said, "What's that?" She said, "My husband left me. Do you know why he left me?" I was like, "Well, I'm getting a little picture of it. I'm sure it's not the whole picture." But I said, "Ma'am, can I pastor you for 5 minutes?" I took her silence as consent. I said, "Ma'am, I noticed it from across the room." She said, "What's that?" I said, "The ginormous chip on your shoulder. It's huge. I don't know who put it there. I don't know how long it's been there, but I got great news for you." She said, "What's that?" I said, "You are 100% responsible for it." Now, some of you just heard me say she's 100% to blame for it. I didn't say she's to blame for it. I said the good news is from this day forward, you get to choose what you're going to do with it. And then I shared with her two things that Dr. Gary Smalley shared with me at a very angry season in my life over 20 years ago. He said, "Ted, unresolved anger is like drinking poison expecting the other person to get sick." And I said, "Ma'am, right now you're drinking it by the gallon. Some people sip it a little bit each day, but you're drinking it by the gallons." I said, "Number two, you never bury anger dead. You always bury it alive." And I said, "Ma'am, it will resurface in another relationship. You need to resolve your anger. You need to take personal responsibility for your heart, resolve your anger, and move forward in life." But here's what happens when someone closes their heart. It moves to the third symptom. When your marriage drifts, you begin to isolate from others. I see this often with couples that I'm counseling or coaching. I'm working with them, and I realize, wow, they're spending too much time with the jaded voices in their life. They're spending too much time with people who are feeding this toxicity rather than trying to help them out. We say at our church in Branson, we're a country music town here in Branson, Missouri, and this word picture works for us. Let's find one that works in Redding, California. But I love saying this. It's every marriage is a duet in need of great backup singers. Every marriage is a duet in need of great backup singers. It's one of the reasons why this event, 60 Degrees, is happening at Pathway. It's because Pathway desires to be a great backup singer to your duet. And so I see this all the time with couples who have bad backup singers. And sometimes I hear this from couples. I love it. They'll say to me, "Well, you don't understand what I'm going through. You don't understand what I'm dealing with." It's one of the reasons I love small groups or life groups or whatever a church calls a small gathering of believers together. You've been there where you've been in your small group and you think your life's falling apart and your life's terrible and your marriage is struggling and no one gets what you're going through. But then you start hearing from the other couples and you're like, wow, at least we're not as jacked up as all these other people. That's called biblical community. When you realize you're not alone, but you see it when someone closes their heart and they're in that blame mode, they push away from good, healthy voices. If that's you watching right now, lean into biblical community. Find good backup singers. Go to the bad backup singers and turn them down. Mute them altogether if necessary. And find the backup singers that you need to turn way up. Because if you have bad backup singers, they will take you. They will go on the journey with you to this fourth symptom. And the fourth symptom is when your marriage drifts, you doubt your future. That's what a bad backup singer does. They help you doubt. You know what? He's never going to change. She's never going to change. You've tried everything. I just want you to be happy. Your marriage is doomed. There is no hope for your marriage. And they begin to plant those little seeds of doubt. Those are the ones you need to turn down. And you need to find someone who will look you right in the eyes and say, not only does Jesus still breathe life into dead people, Jesus breathes life into dead marriages. And there is hope for your marriage. For some of you, that's all it takes right now, is to separate. I'm not saying you don't go home. If you're bad backup singers or family members, I'm not telling you to ignore them or avoid them. I'm just telling you to no longer allow them to have a voice into your marriage, a voice of influence over you, because we don't want to get to this fifth and final symptom. When your marriage drifts, you begin exploring other options. You begin dreaming and fantasizing about life with another person. Starts with blame, then it closes the heart, and then we isolate from others. We begin to doubt, and now we're going on Facebook or social media just to see how that old boyfriend or girlfriend might be doing. But I want to give you my favorite definition of commitment that I've ever heard. It comes from Dr. Scott Stanley at the University of Denver, and he simply says this: commitment is making the choice to give up all other choices. And that's the choice that I hope you make as a part of this event. Make the choice to give up all other choices. And in the next session, we're going to talk about what it means to prioritize marriage as we eradicate the kid-centered home and prioritize our marriage in the home. We'll see you for session 3.
Do you know what will destroy marriages? Stick around and find out today on The Beat. And so today I want to take a look at one of my favorite passages of Scripture, Ephesians chapter 4, verses 25 through 31. And so here in this passage, Paul is contrasting the person that we used to be. He calls this the old man. That's the old way of thinking, the old way of acting, with this new man, who we are now that we have the Spirit of God inside of us, filling us and controlling us and guiding every single decision that we make. And so from this passage, I want to point out 4 things that will completely destroy our marriages. Number 1, dishonesty. Paul says here, let each of you lay aside falsehood and speak truth to your neighbor. And so this could be anything as simple as exaggerating a story or making a false promise and saying you're going to do something but not following through, or coming up with an excuse just to save face because somebody caught you doing something you didn't expect for them to catch you in. So it's just easier to make an excuse rather than tell the truth, or just straight up coming out lying straight to the person's face. Any of these things will damage trust. And as the old saying goes, trust takes years to build, only seconds to break, and a lifetime to repair. Number 2 is anger. Notice Paul says here, be angry, but do not sin. So he's not suggesting here that you have no right or reason to be angry, but rather when you do get angry, that you do not sin. How do we do that? One of the ways that we do that is to remain angry and refuse to resolve conflict. Paul goes on to give us a time frame in which we should resolve all of our conflicts. He says, do it before the sun goes down. Why should we do that? It's because that whenever we don't do that, he goes on to say that we are giving the devil an opportunity. An opportunity for what? It is to fill our minds with thoughts of anger, thoughts of bitterness, thoughts of revenge, thoughts of unforgiveness, thoughts of temptation, negative thoughts about the other person. So remember the principle that when you and your spouse are not speaking to each other, the devil is speaking to both of you. Number 3, unhealthy communication. I want you to notice 4 things here. First of all, Paul says, do not let any unwholesome word come out of your mouth. And so this could be cursing at the person, being overly critical of the person, being judgmental of the person, or just outbursts of anger. Any of these things will ultimately destroy and deteriorate your marriage. Second of all, he says, instead of that, be intentional about using your words to build the person up, affirm them, and encourage them. Third, he says, according to the need of the moment. And so he's basically saying here that we need to discern what is the right time to say whatever is on our heart. And then finally, he says, so that our words will give grace to those who hear. So now he's not talking about what we say or when we say it, but how we say it. So the tone of voice that we use can determine whether or not it is received positively or negatively. And number 4 is unforgiveness. Notice Paul says here to forgive each other just as Christ has forgiven you. And so let me speak to the singles for just a moment. If you're watching this video and you know you get your feelings hurt quickly, you get offended quickly, and it takes you a long time to extend forgiveness to someone else, you may want to consider whether marriage is for you, because things come up even on a daily basis that will require you to extend forgiveness to your spouse. Marriage, as one person defined it, is a continual act of forgiveness. So if you're dating, engaged, married, or in any type of relationship, I want to encourage you today to replace dishonesty with integrity, to replace anger with resolving conflict quickly, to replace unhealthy communication with positive affirmation and encouragement, and then finally to replace unforgiveness with forgiveness. I trust that whenever we start doing these things on a consistent basis, that our relationships will be all that God intended for them to be.
Don't do it.
Propose earlier. I guess that's for him. Can you scratch that? Okay, for real though. I would say just communicate. Communicate, talk, even if you don't want to talk. Communicate and talk.
Not just talking to each other, but friends and family, people that are going to have gone through the same things that you're going through, are going to be able to give you the advice that you need to weather the storm.
Hi, my name is Johnny.
And I'm Stephanie.
We've been married now since 2005, so almost going on.
Wow, why did you say it like that?
I don't know.
Wow, we've been married for 16 years.
Exactly. So it's always good to know when you were married and how long you've been married, because then something like that happens. But that's just the facts of life, is that sometimes you don't always know exactly, the little things like that unless you pay attention all the time. I think if I could go back and talk to myself before I got married, I think one of the things I would tell myself is that the work doesn't stop after you get married. It's a continuation. If you want your relationship to continue to bloom, grow, just like a business, you have to put that effort into it. So you're putting work into your relationship before you get married, and that work needs to continue afterwards as well if you want to continue, I think, the growth throughout your marriage as you continue on.
Yeah, if I were to go back and talk to my pre-married self, what would I say? And I would agree with you. There's a lot of work to be put into marriage, but the benefit and the gain that you get from the relationship after marriage is so worth all the work that goes into it.
Exactly, yeah. So I think, don't stop working. And there's a popular saying out there is to continue to date your spouse, before marriage and after marriage. So that's probably one of the good things you could do.
Eating Oreos cookies.
Hiking?
No.
Being with each other,
Yes.
being together,
Spending time with each other.
getting to see everybody's accomplishments and growth.
Celebrating together.
Mom.
What do you think?
That we all love each other.
What do you like, Jerry?
Playing with my brother.
I love playing together too, just having us all be together in the little moments every day.
The best thing about a family, I think, is time. Children spell love, T-I-M-E, and so it's hanging out and spending time together.
12.
Yes! That's good.
All right.
Have you ever had a job where you had unclear or unspoken expectations? Environments with unclear or unspoken expectations typically lead to low morale and low motivation. The same can be said of the home. Homes where parents have unclear or unspoken expectations of their kids can lead to low morale and low motivation. So tonight, I want to share with you about the expanding power of expectations. And we're going to pull a principle directly out of the Bible. We're going to take a principle from Luke chapter 16, verse 10, which says this: if you are faithful in little things, you will be faithful in larger ones. If you've spent any time reading the Bible, you will notice that God does a phenomenal job of outlining his expectations for his people. As a matter of fact, if you read the Old Testament, what you'll see is how he speaks to his people, the people of Israel. He lays out very clearly his expectations for them. If you continue to read on to the New Testament, you get to see how God lays out his very clear expectations for Christians, for those who place their faith in Jesus Christ. And he does that. He lays out those expectations for our benefit, just as he did to benefit the people of Israel. As a matter of fact, there's a great example in the book of Exodus, chapter 16. What happened prior to chapter 16 is that it tells us how the people of Israel had been delivered out of Egypt. God brought them out of slavery. If you're familiar with the story of the Red Sea, there was this moment in which God brought them to the edge of the Red Sea. They were hemmed in by the sea, and it said that the Egyptian army was coming from behind to destroy them. God did the miraculous. He parts the sea, he delivers his people across, and then he brings the water back down upon the Egyptian army. And yet, not long goes by when the people of Israel begin to look to God, look to Moses, and begin to whine. Hey, where's our food? We're hungry. They begin to whine. And it's crazy because they even went so far as to say, we were better off as slaves because there at least we got food. Yet God in his love and mercy provided for them, and he gave some very clear expectations that he communicated through Moses. And we see this in Exodus 16, verse 4, where it says this: then the Lord said to Moses, look, I'm going to rain down from heaven, food from heaven for you. Each day, the people can go out and pick up as much food as they need for that day. I will test them in this to see whether or not they will follow my instructions. So what God does is he says, I know there's the need. I'm going to provide for the need. He says, I'm literally going to rain down this food so that when the dew of the morning is gone, it will be covered, the ground will be covered with manna. This thin little bread, this thin little wafer that tastes like coriander and honey. And yet God was providing for his people. But he gave them the expectation, you are only to take as much food as you need for that day. Now, if you continue to read on in Exodus 16, we can assume the majority of the people of Israel followed and met those expectations of the Lord. And yet we also get to read about some who did not, who actually took more than they needed for the day. They put it in jars in their homes. And it says that what they put in jars became rotten, molded. It was filled with worms. And so here's what I'm thinking to myself. You know, we just have to imagine, what if God had not given them clear expectations? What if God did not instruct them as to what they were going to do? It would have been chaos. Imagine that all of a sudden the manna is out there. They've not been told to just take for the day. All of a sudden they're fighting over it. There's probably violence. There's probably those hoarding it. There's probably those who are taking it and saying, cool, I'm going to sell it to you now, right? It kind of feels a little bit to me like what we experienced at the height of the COVID-19 pandemic in regards to toilet paper, okay? So if you think back to those moments where we're in stores, we're searching, we're hoarding, we're trying to find, people are arguing about it, people are buying pallets of it, they are selling it for double the price. I think it would have been pretty cool if God would have said, you know what? Hey, y'all, I got this for you. Each morning, just go out, take the paper that you need for the day, okay? That would have been pretty fantastic if he was to meet our need that way. If God sees the value in providing clear expectations for us, then don't you think as parents there would be value for us to express clear expectations to our children? Parents, having clear spoken and written expectations can provide our kids with freedom, flexibility, opportunities to demonstrate responsibility, and opportunities to earn greater levels of trust. Some think that expectations are all about limitations. I don't see it that way. I see expectations as more of an opportunity to demonstrate faithfulness in the little things, thereby expanding opportunities to demonstrate faithfulness in the larger things. Luke 16:10. In one season of my pastoral ministry, I needed to find an additional job to make a living. And I was able to provide for my family by working at UPS in Portland. What can Brown do for you, right? Well, it provided me a living. So it was a blessing. And I started as a driver. I became a supervisor. And one of my responsibilities, one of my major responsibilities was to train new drivers. You want to talk about scary job, okay? Like freaking me out with that big old brown package car, okay? And I'm in North and Northeast Portland on these roads where you can only fit one car at a time. But what helped me as a trainer, and what also helped the new driver, was that there was extremely clear written expectations about the job. There were very clear expectations as to what to do and what not to do. So then as the supervisor, I had the privilege to reinforce those written expectations, to reiterate them verbally, to then encourage and affirm the driver when they were meeting those expectations. In addition, the process that we use to train the driver would be to give them the opportunity to demonstrate a little at a time that they knew, understood, and could implement the expectations. Sound familiar? Luke 16:10. As a matter of fact, what would happen on the first day is a driver would walk up to me and I would say, okay, go ahead. I need to hear, what are the expectations? They had to come having memorized all of the expectations and be able to communicate those to me before we ever got into the truck. And then what would happen is we would begin a process where I would model for them. They would be shadowing me. I would be the one driving the vehicle. I would stop, get the package. I would be the one to make the delivery. I would be talking them through the entire time because here's what my purpose was. My purpose was to prepare them to do it on their own. And so, over the course of days, I would give them an opportunity. You get behind the wheel, you drive, you make this delivery, you make this pickup. And if they were meeting those expectations, they would be given more and more and more responsibility. You see, friends, I believe as parents, we have a very similar role to that of the trainer at UPS, because here's our responsibility: to train our children so that they can do it on their own. Do your kids know what you expect? Have you told them? Have you written them down? Do you assume they know? Do you just assume? Do you find yourself going, you should know better? How many of you have said that before? Have you told them? My wife Kelly and I were always trying to be pretty diligent in expressing our expectations to our three kids. And yet when they got to the teenage years, everything changed. Let me just tell you what happened then. Because we were talking, we were expressing those those verbal expectations. I'd say things like, remember when we shared that we expected you to do this and not do this? And they'd go, no, I don't remember that. What are you talking about? You never said that. I was like, fine, okay, it's on. That's what I would do. I'm gonna start writing these things down. I started writing them down. I started texting them to my kids. I put it in documents. I would print them off on occasion. I would have them. We would sit down and have very calm, clear conversations. Hey, I just wanted to remind you, this is the expectation. we want you to have the opportunity to demonstrate faithfulness in the little things, because then we look forward to you being able to demonstrate faithfulness in the larger ones. Again, friends, my hope and prayer is that you and I would recognize the expanding power of expectations. We at Pathway Church, we are for you. We are for your family. That's what this is all about. We even have created a website that is launched this week. And I want you to make a note of this. It's called pathwayfamily.life. And if you go to pathwayfamily.life, you're going to find specific resources for your marriage. You're going to find specific resources for parenting, for families. We're trying to hit every stage of life in that. We're laying out articles, podcasts, books, different things that we're going to keep very updated. We want to encourage you to be going there and looking for that on a regular occasion. And in just a moment, Ted Cunningham is going to continue on by giving us his third session called Prioritizing Marriage. And you're going to hear a theme, because he, again, is going to encourage us that parenting is all about preparing our kids for adulthood. And if you didn't catch it the first time when he mentioned it, it was a pretty interesting phrase about eradicating the kid-centered home. Let's take a look.
To session 3, Pathway, as we talk about prioritizing marriage. I have a 15-year-old and a 17-year-old, and from the time they were about 5 and 7 years old, I taught them Genesis 2:24. And here's my definition of maturity according to Genesis 2:24. It's, you will not be with mom and dad forever, so plan accordingly. And look at what it says. For this reason, a man will leave his father and mother. A lot of people see Genesis 2:24 as just a marriage verse, but it's a parenting verse as well. It is saying a man, not a child, not an adolescent, but it's the responsibility of parents, right? That a man leaves your home, not a child, and be united to his wife, and the two become one flesh. There's the marriage piece. And here's why prioritizing marriage is so important. And eradicating the kid-centered home. I want to make sure you hear that right, because I've had some people at events say, did I hear you right? Did you say eradicate kids from the home? No. Eradicate the kid-centered home. And prioritize your marriage as a gift to your spouse and a gift to your children. And here's what we know about our kids. They see everything we do. They hear everything we say. They forget nothing, and then they repeat. They're watching, they're listening, they're remembering and repeating. My son and I, we love watching YouTube clips together. It's been something throughout his whole life he's enjoyed doing. I love watching him laugh. His favorite YouTube clip is only 30 seconds long. If you get time after the event, later on, I encourage you to go to youtube.com and type in German Coast Guard. German Coast Guard. It's one of the best clips. A guy's being trained day one on the German Coast Guard when a mayday comes in. Mayday, mayday, we are sinking, we are sinking. Hello? This is the German Coast Guard. Mayday, mayday, we are sinking, we are sinking. What are you sinking about? Well, my son thinks that's the funniest clip he's ever heard. He falls over in laughter. The very first time we watched that, he was very young. A couple of weeks after we saw it, we're driving down the road as a family, and I start singing a hymn from my childhood that goes like this. I was sinking deep in sin, far from the peaceful shore. And from the back seat I heard, and what were you sinking about? And I look at my wife, and I said, they see everything we do. They hear everything we say. They forget nothing. And then they repeat. This is the very first lesson we get about prioritizing marriage in Genesis 2:24. It is the job of parents to make sure our children leave home as adults, not on a journey to become one. It's not the job of college or the first employer. It's mom and dad's job to make sure our kids leave home with the responsibility for work and relationships. That's what I want my kids to get. I want them to be ready. I want them to be prepared. That's my job. I think what we've done today, raising kids in the kid-centered home, we then send them out and say, you go out for another I don't know, 10, 12, maybe even 15 years and live by yourself and for yourself. And after you've lived that life, being raised in a kid-centered home and living an independent life, then you're ready to get married. But I submit to you, independence has become a socially acceptable term for selfishness. And there's a better way. We've been teaching this to our kids, and we've said this to our kids since they were very small. You're a welcomed addition to the home, but you're not the center of it. We actually say it like this, and I'd encourage you to start saying this to your kids. We love you. You are a welcomed addition to this home, but you are not the center of it. If you want to add one, do this. We love you. You're a welcomed addition to this home, but you are not the center of it. And your mom and I, we got big plans after you leave. And the kids will be like, well, what are you going to do? Well, first of all, we're going to Disneyland. That's where we're kicking the whole thing off. But we want our kids to know this home does not revolve around you, and we prioritize the marriage. Why? What does Genesis 2:24 teach us? It teaches us that the bond between husband and wife is more permanent than the bond between parent and child. More permanent, husband and wife. And our children are not going to be with us forever. They're supposed to separate and start their own homes. This is so important. My daughter, and again, we've been teaching this to our kids since they were small. I had an inauguration service for my wife, declaring her the queen. Because when my daughter was 5 years old, I'll never forget, she would walk into the room and she'd want us to stop doing whatever we were doing at 5, and she was in charge. And I finally one day was so exhausted by this, I put her up on the breakfast bar. I put my hand on her heart and I said, Corinne May, there is only one queen in this house, and you ain't her. She looked at me with those eyes that said, we'll see. The next day, she told my wife, there's room enough in this house for 2 queens. This is a true story. I put her back on the breakfast bar, put my hand on her heart. I said, Corinne May, you will never be my queen. Here's the good news, though. You're my princess, which means one day I'm going to stand at the back of a church with you looking down the aisle at some pervert. No, I did not say that to my daughter. I said, I'm going to stand at the back of an aisle looking down the aisle at, some guy that's going to want to marry you. And here's the bottom line. I'm not walking you down the aisle until I know he loves you as much as me. And Corinne, here's my parenting plan. And I'm not going to be perfect at this, but I want you to know part of my parenting plan is I want to show you to the best of my ability every day how a queen should be treated. I want you to watch your mom, and they're watching, they're listening, they're remembering and repeating. So here's a question I have. It's a great take-home question for you to ponder today, ponder it the rest of the week, into next week. But here's the question. Do you have a marriage worth repeating? Do you have a marriage worth repeating? Do you have a marriage that you want for your own children? And as we're talking about backup singers, this is important, because I always love at our church to encourage young parents to go get with a more seasoned parent or couple of parents. Find backup singers that have been in the stage of life that you're in right now. And maybe they were in this season or stage of life 20 years ago. Find that backup singer that will give you hope and encourage you and challenge you. I always laugh because I see young moms walking around, especially during this season, and they got antibacterial product hanging all over their purse. I go, you need to go find a grandma somewhere at Pathway. Look around right now in the parking lot. Look for someone that's been in the season or stage you're in right now. Go up to them when we're done. Go up to them, because you got antibacterial product hanging all over your purse. You need to find someone that let their kids pick up cigarette butts and chew on them. You need to get that person in your life as a backup singer. You need to find the dad who used to let his kids sleep in the back window of the car on long trips. Find that dad. Get him to be speaking into your life, breathing life into your marriage and into your home. Go find a grandma and grandpa in the parking lot right now that used to put 3 kids in only 1 playpen with 1 toy, right? It's where we got the idea for cage fighting. That's a true story. Find that, and let me tell you, when the kids messed up, they took the kids outside of the playpen, they turned the playpen upside down and put it on top, and their kids are fine. You need backup singers like that for your marriage and for your family. I think about that. My dad's in his 70s now, but my dad used to tell my brother and I that the bell on the ice cream truck meant they were out of ice cream. You need to find those backup singers, and that's why the senior adults are laughing, because they know what I'm talking about. But be an encouragement to the younger parents. And this is a big one, and this is why I'm passionate about it, as we're going to look at in the last session as part of 60 Degrees. Quality time together. Prioritizing your marriage means that you prioritize quality time. You gift this quality time to your spouse and to your children, because they're watching, they're listening, they're remembering, and they're repeating. We'll see you back for session 4.
All right. Hi, I'm Bill.
And I'm Margie.
Yes.
The Bible says, "Now may the God of peace make you holy in every way, and may your whole spirit and soul and body be kept blameless until that day when our Lord Jesus Christ comes again." When you come into marriage, you're bringing your whole self. You're bringing your body, your soul, your spirit. You're bringing your mind, will, emotions. And tonight, we're going to focus on will.
Yeah, she's feeding back, you guys. Okay. So, yeah, the will is where we make our choices, okay? You've heard that love is a choice. Love is a choice. Love is actually the sum of thousands of choices over the course of your life, thousands of choices over the course of your marriage. Choices matter, right?
Take, for example, the Great Goose Incident.
Okay, we have to go there. Fabulous.
So for our very first official first date, Bill planned a really special date. He was going to take me fishing. We're from Chicago. So Chicago is not really known for its pristine streams and mountain-fed lakes. So what did Bill say? He was going to take me to, hold on, the Fisherman's Dude Ranch.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Fisherman's Dude Ranch. So the Fisherman's Dude Ranch offered 3 small trout ponds and 2 catfish ponds, and then a cute little lake. And you had to pay to go in to fish, and then you would catch your fish and they'd weigh it, and then you'd pay based on how many pounds the fish was. And that actually sounds kind of sad and pathetic to me when I think about it.
Yeah, now that we live in a region with massive lakes and all. It was actually a great plan for a date for someone from Chicago. So, loaded with fishing gear, we arrived at the Dude Ranch. Here we are. There you go. That's that date. Haven't changed a bit, huh? I put my best foot forward because, you know, we're still getting to know each other, and I can't wait to show this beautiful woman how manly I am. And we're going to catch a few trout and then, you know, go home, pan fry them and lemon butter and share a memorable date. And it was actually memorable, but not for the reasons we planned.
Yes,
right.
it was.
Yes.
Very memorable.
So we're walking toward our fishing spot, smiling and goofing around. You know, you can tell when couples are out on a first date, and that was us. And as we're going to our fishing spot, we're totally oblivious to these beady eyes that are tracking us like the quarry we would soon become, because this attack came out of nowhere. One moment, I am the coolest guy in the world, certain I'm making a great impression on my date. The next moment, there's this frenzy of feathers and feet and beak assaulting me. Here is this goose. This goose charges me. It's flapping its massive wings. It's actually hissing like a snake, and it's trying to peck me where no man should be pecked. Now, here's kind of what it felt like. Yeah, right. Yeah. So, I'm having flashbacks. I think I have a little trauma right now. Now, I'm a city boy. At that time, I'd been in martial arts. I'd been working out. I was muscular and fit like I am today. I mean, well, having kids changes a lot. Some of you know that. If a mugger had attacked us, no problem. But this was a wild goose. So I did what any red-blooded city boy would do when being attacked by a wild goose. I screamed like a sissy, and I ran away. And I actually did leave you to fend for yourself.
Yep.
I mean, I've had better moments.
Yes, and you know what? You actually put me between you and the goose.
No.
Yes, I was the shield.
No, that part is under dispute to this day.
It's okay, honey. Remember it any way you want to remember it. You protected the both of us, and you did it all by yourself.
Awesome. Yeah, awesome. Thanks. I needed that.
But marauding goose or no, ever since, I have to say that you, dear, have really been great at always choosing me. You have chosen our family. You have chosen to put us first, except for God. And love is a choice. It's the sum of all our choices that we make over actually a lifetime. And I would say you've made really good choices.
Thanks, Anna, and you too. So, Margaret and I want to give you some really concrete tips tonight about making good choices in your family. Obviously, we could talk about a million different things, but we just kind of decided to highlight these three. So here is tip number one. Tip number one is the choice that brings clarity to every other choice is the choice to put God first. And once you set that as your main North Star, you have clarity on everything else. So the Bible says, when I was a child, I spoke as a child, I understood as a child, I thought as a child, but when I became a man, I put away childish things. And this is a verse that's actually talking about love. This is a whole chapter. This is the love chapter in the Bible. And right in the middle of it, you have this whole statement on being mature in your life with God, because there is no enduring kind of love without spiritual maturity in your walk with God, right?
And this is a recurring theme for Bill. And if you've been to Pathway, you know that is a recurring theme for us. We talk about the grace pathway. We talk about spiritual growth because we care about maturity and putting God first. About 19 years ago, in 2 months, I guess I would say.
Yeah.
Yes. Bill and I left, and I know that because JD was born on Christmas, so I kind of base our years on that. 19 years and 2 months ago, Bill and I left really a lifetime of friends, family, familiar places in Chicago, and we came here with a toddler named Josie. Hi, Josie, love you. And I was 7 months pregnant, and we made a new home among total strangers in a city we did not know, in a church we did not know, no friends, no family, nothing. But we did have a call from God, and we had faith in Him.
And you think, well, why would you guys choose all that? We chose that because we believe God called us. And because He called us, we believe He'll carry us through. Amen? I mean, long ago, we decided God would be first. And no, it has not always been easy. In fact, it's mostly been hard. But the choice to put God first makes every other choice infinitely more clear for us.
And actually, I think we love each other even more through all these years.
Yeah.
And we love our kids, and we love our church. We're not standing up here and claiming to be anywhere near perfect. But our hearts are fixed on God and the gospel. That's why we're here. So we say, choose God. Make that choice first. That is the choice, actually, that makes every other choice make sense.
Amen.
So our second tip is a choice that Bill and I made really early in our marriage. So I have a confession. I am a little bit of a clean freak.
Like Monk. Have you seen Monk?
Wipe.
Yeah.
Yes. So I'm a little bit of a clean freak, and when I married Bill, let's just say there was a little bit of a challenge. Okay. So I moved from a brand new home that I had built myself, white carpets, nothing on the counters, spotlessly clean. You could eat off the floors. I moved in with a husband. I moved into a really old home.
1920.
And I moved into a home where there was a dog that shed a lot, and the dog liked to pee in the house, on the furniture, and sometimes even on people.
Yeah.
So, I had a lot of choices to make. And Bill found a Bible verse for me, and it kind of became our life verse. Where no oxen are, the trough is clean. But much increase comes by the strength of an ox.
Amen, guys. I actually made a framed sign with that verse.
He did.
Yeah. And we put it on our wall. It's saying that, listen, if you want a clean house, if you want a pristine existence, if you want no mess, no complications, no drama, no intrusions, never get married. And if you do get married, never have kids. Right? Because with family, marriage, kids, life is messy. And this is our second tip, which is the choice that de-stresses every other choice is to embrace the mess that comes with love and life. You've got to embrace the mess. You've got to choose to accept the mess. You've got to choose to allow a measure. If you're going to have love, look. If you don't want this, just bubble wrap your heart, and never give it away to anyone. That's total safety.
It's lonely.
Yeah. But if you want love in your life, you have to choose to accept a measure of chaos that comes with that.
Yeah, and choose to accept the dirt and the noise and the open toilet seats and the toys everywhere and dirty dishes and dirty diapers and smells and laundry and sweat and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's messy.
Messy. But choose to be okay with everything that comes with having a husband and having
Or wife.
kids. I'm very neat. and kids and babies and teens and all that stuff, because Jesus never promised that life would actually be a straight line. What he did promise was that your life, he would take care of your life, and your life would go according to his plan, not your plan. And he also promised that he would stay with us.
Yeah.
So whatever you walk through, whatever your life brings you, God will walk it through it with you.
All the way.
So, actually, speaking of walking, since the first day I walked into Bill's church and I heard him teach the Bible.
Since the day that Margie walked into my Wednesday night Bible class, and actually my heart went pitter-patter.
When we started dating and escaping goose attacks.
Oh, yeah. Right.
When we walked down the aisle and said our vows. When we set up a home and made it our own, when we lost our first baby and our hearts were broken, when we were blessed with Josie and JD, when we suffered the deaths of one after another of our family members, and when illness came.
We can stand here today and we can testify that life is messy, but God is faithful.
Amen.
Amen. And the choice to embrace love is the choice to embrace chaos.
And honestly, in a weird way, the chaos makes life beautiful.
Amen.
And honey, I wouldn't trade places with anybody.
Me neither. Our last tip about making choices is this one, which is the choice that blesses. Now, this is talking about parental choice, right? The choice that blesses every other parental choice is to rear your kids to follow their own God-given path. There's a familiar Bible verse from the Proverbs that says, train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. You've heard this verse, right? It's a great verse, very familiar, but there's a better translation that I think really nails the original Hebrew, where it says, train up the child according to the tenor of his way. According to the tenor of his way. And when he is old, he will not depart from it. When I was a youth pastor, there was a high school student in my youth group. He was a great football player. This was Chicago, so there were tons and tons of schools, a lot of competition. And everybody knew of this kid. And his dad was all over it for this kid being a football player. He's bragging about his son and really into it, making sure his son got playing time and all of that. And it just seemed to me as a youth pastor that this dad was living vicariously through his son. And the sad thing was that the son hated football. He told me so. He hated football. He didn't want to play. He was more interested in writing. But his dad wanted a jock, and he was forcing his own kid into his own mold. And it was really sad. Listen, men, women, mom, dad, that's not your call from God. Train up your child according to the tenor of his or her way, not your idea of what they should be, but his or her way. This is the will of God.
So if you wanted a jock, but you got a musician, you wanted an extrovert, but you got an introvert, you wanted a math whiz, but you got a mechanical whiz. You wanted a tall child, you got a short child. You got a funny child, and instead you got a serious child. Or you wanted a healthy child, and instead you got challenges and struggles. God entrusted your specific children, and I really believe this, that God entrusted your specific children to you to honor and respect the tenor of their ways. How are they wired? What is their passion? Find that out. Encourage that. Bless that. Not what you want, what they really are passionate about. And I would just say, wipe away that chronic disapproval that we sometimes have and rejoice in who God made them to be. Quit judging them. Start accepting them and watch God do his slow motion miracles in their lives.
Yeah. Your kids are your kids, however you got them. Your kids are your kids because God thinks you're perfect for them. And, you know, obviously we all have struggles, and all the things we've been talking about, the first thing I said when we started 60 Degrees is we're talking about God's ideals and God's principles with total recognition that we've all blown it. None of us live up to those ideals. We've all messed up in certain ways. The good news is that we can recover and we can get ourselves back on track, and so can our families, and so can our kids. But your kids are your kids because God thinks you're perfect for them. And I want you to get this into your soul, because what your kids, those specific kids that you are their parents or their guardians, what they bring to your life, no matter what you thought you would get in your little picture of what your family is going to be, what the kids you got, what the kids God gave you bring into your life is something that you actually desperately need. And God paired you for a reason, for their benefit, but also for your benefit and your blessing. And when you start with the choice that I will rear my kids according to who God made them to be, when you bring that into the equation, you're going to bring love and clarity to every other choice you'll ever make as a mom and as a dad.
And we have come a long way since the Great Goose incident.
Under disputes.
We look back and our choices, honestly, just like I'm sure all of you sitting there, our choices were not always perfect. But we did know and do know that God was making something beautiful. We chose to date. We chose to date. We chose to marry. We chose to stay faithful. We chose to make a family. We chose to serve God right here. Choices matter.
Amen. But more important than that, we believe that God has chosen. God has made a choice over and over and over and over again to shower his grace on us and his blessings on us. You are part of that. We appreciate you. And God's choice to care for us, we believe, is the most important choice of all. Amen?
So, in closing, we'd like to play a song for you. It was sung at our wedding, and it is our testimony today. And we hope you enjoy it.
Tomorrow morning, if you wake up and the sun does not appear, I will be here. If in the dark we lose sight of love, hold my hand and have no fear. 'Cause I will be here. I will be here when you feel like being quiet, when you need to speak your mind. I will listen, and I will be here when the laughter turns to crying, through the win and losing and try. We'll be together, 'cause I will be here. Tomorrow morning, if you wake up and the future is unclear, I will be here. Just as sure as the seasons were made for change, our lifetimes were made for these years. So I will be here. And I will be here so you can cry on my shoulder when the mirror tells us we're older. I will hold you, and I will be here to watch you grow in beauty and tell you all the things you mean to me. I will be here. Oh, I will be true to the promise I have made to you and to the one who gave you to me. I will be here. And just as sure as the seasons were made for change, our lifetimes were made for these years. So I will be here, we'll be together. Oh yes we will, 'cause I will be here. I will be here.
That's some good flashbacks right there. Hey man, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you enjoyed our night. Now we're going to do a kind of a reset because we have John Michael Hinton coming back tonight, which is super awesome. Our final 60s degree event is tomorrow, Sunday, and you'll hear final teachings and lessons on marriage and parenting. We're going to have Ted Cunningham one more time, and with a really powerful testimony of hope and redemption and grace. We're going to meet on Sunday. We're meeting indoors. Okay, just because of the heat and the sun, we thought it'd be a little bit too much. So we will be meeting at our regular service times, which are 9:30 and 11:15, and so that's awesome. Stick around, but I don't have it. Okay, so you know how you got an envelope? It's right in back middle of the envelope. So you know how you got an envelope for an activity, a little date? How many of you did some of that last night? Right? Okay, both of you. That's awesome. Yeah, envelope. There we go. So tonight, we're giving you another little fun date activity, which is a scavenger hunt on paper. It's simple. You can do this with your husband, your wife, your grandparents, your kids, someone you want to date, someone you don't want to date, whatever. And you have some microwave popcorn, and you have a scavenger hunt. So you can pick this up right after we close up here, and we're going to do a reset to get ready for our magic show. Okay? So anyway, it's totally free. We also have the bookstore will be open, which is that way, and right next to it, the hub, and right next to that is the merchandise for John Michael Hinton. If you have children in childcare right now, you need to pick up your kids like now. And because our magic show will start in just a couple of minutes. Yeah, it's a different show from the one we saw last night. So it's a brand new show. So go ahead and take a quick break, just a couple of minutes, and we'll call you back together when it's time to get going again.
few Skittles here because we are going to have too much fun. Oh, by the way, when the Skittles come out, it's not an illusion. When it comes at your face, catch it. Okay? I'll try. No promises. Anybody? Yes, there's one. There you go. You have to be where you're gonna sit because I don't just. It almost hit somebody in the face. This is great. Oh, okay. Listen, I was a communication major at Simpson. I didn't play any sports. I was really good at nightlife. Here we go. Yeah, see, I told you, really good at night. Hey, you got it! That was awesome. That was awesome. T-minus 2 minutes. Let's say 2 minutes. T-minus 2 minutes. Grab your popcorn. Grab your seats. We're gonna have some fun. We're gonna have some fun right there. Oh my goodness, I cannot wait. Get ready, y'all. Check. I need to know that guy's in his seat.
Stop it. What?
Dude!
Wait.
What? Hey!
Blew our minds so much because you deserved every bit of applause you got at the bows. It was just wonderful.
For me, magic is an opportunity for relationships. I love having the camera on stage so that everyone is just inches away from the experience.
How did that happen?
Show them. They are now.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage your next friend, John Michael Hinton.
Woo! Ready? Are you guys with me tonight? Yes? Oh! Man! Oh, are you guys ready to get things started? Yes? Come on, let me hear your energy! Oh, I need to know, how many of you were here last night or this is your first time? Way too many hands. So, hey, if you were here last night, you remember I did a lot of stuff with Rubik's Cubes. You might have even heard about some of the stuff I did with Rubik's Cubes. But I love Rubik's Cubes, and I'm not going to do too much tonight with Rubik's Cubes because I feel like I did too much. But I did show everybody last night how the easiest way to solve a Rubik's Cube was to go back in time. There's another way. Second easiest way. Tim, you ready for this? Ready. Everybody say hi, Tim. Here, scoot back just a little bit. Because that is way too good of, yeah. All right, here we go. All you have to do is throw it behind your back, and the hard part is catching it. Watch, if you throw it behind your back just like this, that's how it solves. It's the hard part is catching it. Now, a little known fact about Rubik's Cubes. Did you know, mathematically speaking, every time you mix a Rubik's Cube, the max amount of time, turns it could be away from being solved is 20 moves. Did you know this? Seriously, it's a mathematical fact no matter how much you mix it up. Let me show you what I mean, because I've been working on how fast I can do 20 moves. That's 1 move, 2 moves, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So right now we're 20 moves away from being solved. Now listen, this is not magic. The first thing was magic. This is skill. So if I screw up, we're friends. Okay? I might only get 18. Let's see. Last time I got 19. Here we go. Oh, see? Yeah, I got 19. Sorry. Here, one more time. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So again, 20 moves away. Here we go. 1 second. You guys are very kind. Thank you very much. Oh, man, you guys ready to have a good time? Yes? Okay, good, because I need somebody up here who wants to have a good time. Somebody who's, yes, it's you. It's you. Give it up for my friend right here as he runs on up here. Give it up for him. It could have been you. Whoa, whoa, we have stairs. You might be too excited. I like you. Your name, sir?
I'm George.
George. Hi, George. I'm John. I'm nervous. No, we're great. Can we be friends?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, that's one.
Red jackets, we're good.
We're good. Here, step right over here, just like that, George, just like we did in practice. Perfect. So, listen, we're going to start with George away. Your hat is awesome. This is a good choice. No, George, we're going to have fun. A lot of people ask me, George, how do you get into magic? And the easiest way, honestly, I know, is books. I know you can go on YouTube, you can do other things like that, but books are the way to do it. I'm telling you, kids, books are amazing. I collect a lot. This is a great one. I don't sell this, but it's written by a friend of mine, Joshua J. It's called Big Magic for Little Hands. Great magic book. Has a bunch of different magic tricks in it. But there's this one trick that a lot of people learn at the beginning of doing magic, and it's called any card at any number. What you do, and you're not supposed to, George, you're not supposed to tell people what you're going to do here, okay? But I'm going to tell you what the trick is because it's that old of a concept, and it's actually it's known as the Holy Grail. Everybody say, ooh. No, don't do that. It's cheesy. Don't do it. So, but no, it's a Holy Grail of magic. Let me show you what you do. First, you take a deck of cards, and I mean, you don't really need the box, right? It's and what you do, you make sure they're mixed. You see they're mixed here, yes? Yeah. Here, we'll even make sure it's even more mixed because people don't believe me. So we're going to mix it. And this is what's going to happen. In just a second, you're going to stop me on any random card. You're going to look at it. I'm going to look down, make sure I can't see. You're going to show it to the camera, memorize it yourself. And then you're going to put it back in the deck. And then you're going to shuffle the cards. And then we're going to pick somebody at random. They're going to pick a number 1 to 52. We're going to count down to that card, and it's going to be there. Think about how hard this is. It's not just a 1 in 52 chance. It's actually 1 in a 52 factorial chance. That is 1 times 1 plus 1 times 2 plus 1 times 3, and then you go with 2s. 2 times 1 times 2 plus 2 times 2 plus 2 times 3 plus all the way to, it's a huge number. It's basically impossible, okay? So we're going to see if we can do something impossible. You guys want to see impossible? Yes? Awesome. And like I said, I learned it from this book. So here we go. Tell me when to stop, George. Stop. Right there. Perfect. So look at the card. I'm going to look right here at you guys so I can't see. Okay, tunnel vision right here. Memorize the card, George, and show everybody out there. I'm looking right here so I can't see. There's no screens out here. George, do you have the card in your memory? Yes? Yes. All right, and everybody's seen it, so yes? Good. All right, George, here we go. I'm going to go like this with the cards, and you put the card into the deck. Are you ready? Yep. Now look, right now I can tell where it is, right? It's right there. Square the cards. Now I'm not going to touch the cards again. And we're going to count down in just a second. It's going to be epic. You're going to love this. Oh, shuffle the cards. Shuffle the cards. Think about this. I'm not even touching the cards. If I was doing some sort of sleight of hand, if I was going to magicify, I don't know if that's a word, but magicify these cards right now, I'd have to touch it. I'd have to control the cards a certain spot. That maybe it's 37 because that's the most thought of. If I say think of a number 1 to 52, the most statistically thought of number, everybody thinks 37 is random. It's not. Don't pick 37 in a magic show. Are they mixed? Yes? Are you happy with the mix? Are you sure? You want to mix one more time? Okay, good. Take your head off, George, because it's freaking me out. Throw it out into the audience. He's going to get it back. All right, and throw it one more time further back. No, throw it back. Throw it back one more time. Throw it back as far as you can throw it. Yeah, throw it back as far as you can throw it. Throw it that way. Whoever gets it, stand up. All right, now listen. George, help me out over here. Can you square the cards? Good. Put them right here. All right. Oh, I don't want them to fall. Yeah. Okay. Here, let's do this. I'm just one finger. I don't think you can cheat with one finger. At least not very easily. So, okay. All right. Who got it? What's your name? Knighton? Nice to meet you, Knighton. Can we be friends? Yes, that's 2. Knighton, pick a number. 1 to 52. We're going to count down, and George's card's going to be there, I hope. Here we go. Name the number. 30. Thanks for being that person. I'm going to give you a second chance to change your mind because it is the most commonly thought of number. Look it up, statistically speaking, Google it. Do you want to stay with 37 or do you want to change? Up to you. 43. Okay, it's going to be more boring. That's okay. Here we go. Put your hand out just like this, George. All right, George, think about this. You picked any card you wanted. You stopped me. You showed it to them. I was looking here. Then you put it back in the deck, you shuffle the deck, and then you threw your hat. He needs his hat back, by the way. He threw your hat, we threw it again. He picked 37, which was an interesting choice, and then he decided on 43. Are you ready? Yeah. Me too. Here we go. Come close. Help me out here, George. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Right now, everybody's wondering, why couldn't you pick a smaller number? It's okay. 43, that's 20. 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 1, 2, 3. Can we all agree that is the 43rd card? Yes? Yeah. Think about this. Could have been anything. You could have picked any card. You shuffled it. I have not touched the cards. Ladies and gentlemen, was your card a red card? Yeah. Any card at any number. Seriously? No, sorry. It's 43, and that's the next card. You count 43, and then it's the next card. Yes? No. What'd you do, George?
You touched my finger.
Should have read the book more, George. What number did you say? 43? I wonder. I wonder if we would have read the book more. Look at this book right here. Yeah. You'll see it has lots and lots of different tricks going all the way up to page, you'll see this, 100.
Yeah.
What page is that?
91.
91, 83. We'll go all the way to 56, 52, 44. This would be, if this is page 45, 44, which would make this page what? 43. 40. Okay, I was 1 off. That's not bad. 41. We have 40. Can we go 41? Is that okay? What was your card?
8 of hearts.
It worked. The 8 of hearts. Give it up for George. You were close. 1 off. Give it up for George. That's not bad. I'll take it. Oh, man. Anybody having a good time yet? Oh man, because the fun is just beginning because I have Oreos. Does anybody like Oreos? Anybody? Oh, good. I'm going to throw out some Oreos. The same thing is true with the Skittles. I am not responsible if you get hit in the face because I'm literally throwing them out over there. Here we go. Here we go, way out there. I'm going to throw 2 right at the same time. I have no idea if anybody's getting this. If you have an Oreo, hold it up. If you have an Oreo, hold it up. Did you guys get some in the front row? Here, catch. Just like that. There you go. Here. You know what? I'm going to try in the back row. It might not make it. Be careful. Here we go. All right. If you have an Oreo, hold it up. If you have an Oreo, hold it up. So, true story the other day. I was eating an Oreo in peace when my daughter came to me. she's 12, and she said, Daddy, you're eating your Oreos wrong. My own daughter. I like to dunk mine in milk. Who else likes to dunk theirs in milk? Yes. You're wrong, according to my daughter. I'm with you. No, she said the right way to eat an Oreo is to twist it apart. Anybody have twisters? Yes, you weirdos. No, according to my daughter, that's the right way. So if you have an Oreo right now, twist it up. Did you eat it? I didn't say to eat it. Here, take it. There you go. If you have an Oreo right now, twist it open.